Okay, so we are going to start this project by first creating our front end using React. Later on, we will build out our back end. We will build out our API, our database using Django, and we will connect these two. So we will start by creating our React components. We will style those, use some dummy data, and then connect those. So for those of you guys are a little bit more advanced with React, I will recap the project structure, how the files look, how React works. I would not go too far into that. I just want to make sure that anybody who's more beginner with React can follow along. So you will need Node.js installed for those of you guys that don't have that, because we are going to use the create react app command. And what this is going to do is it's going to create our boilerplate files for our React application. It is going to give us access to the commands. Here you will see npm start, which starts up our server. So make sure you have Node.js installed, and let's go ahead and start setting up our project files. So I will set up my files here in my desktop folder. So I'm going to create my folder eCommerce. Here I'm going to call that this name. I'm going to use the command prompt for now to open this folder. Later on, I will use VS Code as my terminal here, so as my text editor, and we will use that terminal. But for now, I just want to use a command prompt. So we are going to cd into this new project e-commerce, and we want to create our React application by just typing this command: npx create React app, and I'm going to call mine app is front end. So we are going to have a front end, and then later on we will create our back end. So what this is going to do is going to go ahead and create those files. So I will recap the files here, and we'll start up our server. So this can take up to 1 to 3 minutes. So give it some time depending on your computer, and I will unpause this video in a minute and we'll get back to it. Okay, so we just finished setting up our application and we are in the e-commerce folder. So what I want to do is cd into that new front end folder that we have created. So we'll take a look at those files in a second. You can't type that out there. So we have front end, and right away you can see we have access to these commands. So we have our start command that start up our server. We have our run build command and a couple of other commands with that. So let's go ahead and just test out npm start. So, and what this is going to do is it's going to open up our website. So our default application in our browser on port 3000. So this is loading. You are going to see our default application here. So this is all that React gives us to start with. So I'm going to open up my text editor. So we have VS Code here, and I'm going to open up those files here. So I'm going to go into desktop, and I have that in my e-commerce folder, and this is my project. So React just created this front end folder right here. So that's what I cd into. We have our node modules, public source, and all of our other React files here. So I want to start with package.json. So this is essentially our configuration to our application. And so if you look down here, you can see that start command that we just ran. So this lets us start our project server. We have our run build command that essentially bundles up our files and turns those into static files. So static files for production and a whole bunch of other things in this file. So package.json is where we configure everything for our application. So now I'm going to explain how a single page application works. I am not going to go too far into this because there is a lot of videos on this. This is not what I want to cover in this video, but essentially everything gets loaded from our index.html. So if you look here, we have this div with the ID of root, and because this is a single page application, this is all the browser is going to see, and we are going to grab this div by the ID of root, and we are going to load in different components into here. So we are not going to have pages necessarily. They are going to be components that look like pages. And whenever we change a page, when we click on a new link, that component, whatever is loaded uh, into this div, is going to change and it looks like a new page, but our page will never actually refresh here. So if we go into source, we have our index.js. So I want to show you how we load data into that div here. So this div has the ID of root, and what we do here is we use React DOM document object modulation and we render our component. We get it by its ID of root and we render our component in there. Now our app will be our top level component. So app.js. So you can see that right here. So app we load it in. If you go to app.js, here is what we are seeing in the browser right now. So we have that logo right here. We have some text that's spinning logo that we are seeing, and essentially our app component is where we will load in all of our pages. And this is going to be that base level component for our application. So that's just a quick summary of how single page applications work. What I want to do now is cleaning up our files here and do a little work on this. So if I go ahead and remove this image, I'm going to save it. And you are going to notice our page change up a little bit here, so we no longer have that logo. So this is how we are able to change it. I don't need to start up my server again because it's already running. So this is how we are able to adjust a few things. So I want so what I want to do is actually I want to close out my command prompt here and I want to use the terminal of VS Code. So if you are using that, you could just go here and do new terminal or just do Control Shift plus. So that's what I am going to do, and we are going to open that up right here. And I need a CD into my front end, and I want to run everything from the terminal here from VS Code now. So we are now in it, and I can just do npm start again because I technically did turn off my server because I closed my command prompt, and now we are running everything from VS Code. So there we go. Our server is on. How? And this is our page. So let's just do some cleanup. So what I want to do is I want to start with our index.html. So if we look at this, if we look at this right here, we have React app. So I want to change that, and that is going to be right here. So we have our title, and I'm going to change this to uh, ProShop. That is the name of this project. So it's going to change our product title or our project web page title. And I also want to change this favicon here. So favicon, whatever you decide to call that, favicon. I want to change this because right now it's default React favicon. And what I am going to do here is I have a folder called resources. So in here I have my images, product images that we are going to use later. So my products.js file, which is just an array of objects for our product that we are going to use before we actually build out our database. And I want to use this have icon here. So what I am going to do here is for the in your GitHub repo, for now I'm just going to copy and paste it into the root of our application. Maybe I might change where this site, but download the GitHub repo. This is where you are going to have those project files. So in front end in public, I want to remove that default React favicon, and I want to drag in the one that I have in my resources. So let's just drag this in here, and I don't know why it still looks like a React favicon, but uh, let's just refresh that, and there we go. So now we have the favicon we want to work with. So remember, access to a file called resources or the folder called resources, you can go to our have a little bit more cleanup to do that. So also I want to remove a few files here, so I need to get rid of from this project. I don't need to, but these are just extra files, so I want to get rid of setup test.js, so we can delete that. So I'll just click on this. We can also get rid of app.css, and then we have app.test.js, and these are the three files I can delete. So we'll move them to the recycle bin. And also in my app.js, what I want to do is just take care of everything between header. We'll delete all of them, and we'll remove this class name, and we are just going to say my app here. So my app, and this could clean things up so we don't need the app.css, we don't need the logo here. Let's save that. And also I want to go into my index.css file and get rid of all of this. So I want to customize my styling, and let's see what our application looks like. So we have my app here. So in the next video, what we are going to do is build out our header or footer and our body component.